Hello everyone, welcome back. I've brought in a few fuchsias here, do a bit of pruning on them and stuff. They're all collected fuchsias. I've just collected them maybe 5 years ago. I don't know if they're a big thing in the bonsai world, fuchsias. Well, I do know that they can be very temperamental. They can grow like crazy, or they can just sit there and sulk. And I don't know why they do that. And they can also just drop branches quite easily, and yet they grow so easily as well. So I don't know, it's just a bit of a confusing one. Yeah, like, I'll explain in a while what I mean, but you'll see with the other two I brought in, that even though they're in the same soil, on the same benches and everything, sometimes they just sulk, and like that, you just lose branches, or they just won't grow. So I'm just going to prune this one back. It's taken off any of the shoot growing up. Yeah, just throw my glasses there so I can see what I'm doing. But I'm just pruning it back to outward facing leaves as usual, or outward facing branches. There's a couple of guy wires on here. I think they're not biting anything, so I'll just leave them on for now. They're just keeping this branch down, these two branches down, because they're pointing up. So I'll just leave them for now. Just got to be pruned back a little bit tighter. So this is the front of the tree, and it's got a kind of a funny root there. I'm not sure if you can see it. I think I should have probably repotted it this year, but then I don't know, because one I did repot is really struggling, whereas this one isn't. Even though you can see a big root there, it's obviously wound round around this pot by now. I definitely will have to do it next year, I think. I don't know, should you keep them drier or keep them more moist? I don't know what is good for them, because it doesn't seem to make any difference whether I keep them dry or moist. If they want to drop branches, they'll drop them. Now once they start growing like this, they don't normally drop them. It's normally at the start of the season, some branches just decide they're not going to grow for no reason, even though they could have grown really well last year. But it'll just send out more shoots instead of it. So you have to kind of remember that these are hedging plants, so I try and keep them pruned quite a lot, like you would a hedge. Or at least every so often keep them just pruned. Don't want to get in long branches and then them turning woody. Okay, so I think that's about it for this one. I did have this one planted on top of an old car years ago when I got it first, and I had an old road, and it was planted on top of the car, but the pot started to break up. So I took it out, and my idea was to put it into a pot, and then one day put it back on top of the car again. But it kind of outgrew the car pretty quickly then once it was in this pot. So now we're just going to grow it. I might one day put it on a rock or something, alright. Now the only thing not liking is this branch up here. I think this branch, like these, was growing kind of up at an angle. I think it'd be better down more. So I'm not going to wire it down, I'm actually going to shorten it right back. Because it is quite heavy anyway. So if you shorten it back, and then we'll concentrate on growing the new shoots down more. So we do that, and then as it goes we can keep trimming it back so it stays down. Got one growing up there, we'll take that one off. Okay, so that'll do for that one. It's just got a couple of little flowers left on it. There's a few more coming out there. Okay, so I'll just put that on one side. I'll bring up the next one. Now this one is, let's raise the camera up slightly. This one had this ugly bulge in it here at the base. So as you can see, I planted it up against this rock, and it's kind of moulded itself now around the rock, and it kind of just gets rid of that bulge looking, well, it doesn't get rid of the bulge, but it just takes your eye off it now with the rock here. I always find if you have trees with ugly branches, ugly twists or ugly bulges and stuff, if you put them against a rock like that, it kind of looks like the bulge is grown because of the rock, rather than vice versa. Now this is what I was talking about the branches. You can see this branch here, it's got leaves all over it, but they're just sitting there, tiny little leaves, they're not growing. Same here, it's even got a flower on it here, and here, a little flower there, covered in leaves, but they're tiny, they're not growing like the rest of the tree. So I just don't know why it does that, and it's definitely a branch I need, so I'm hoping eventually it will start to grow. I'm just going to take the top off that, and I'm not going to do anything with that branch. I'm just going to leave it, because I may have to use some of these shoots to replace these branches. So you can see how strong these upper branches are growing. So it's got a lot of flower on them. Again, this one I was thinking, was it because it wasn't getting enough moisture, so I kept it really wet to the stage where the back here started to rot out. So then I took it out of that and I started keeping it a lot drier, which as you can see is quite dry there now. It's out of the rain, so it doesn't get a lot of rain on it now. You know, when it gets the water, when I give it water, and it doesn't seem to make any difference. It's still, that branch is still sitting there like that. So I don't know, maybe if we prune all this off, it will push some energy into that branch, and then maybe it'll start growing. Let's see. Definitely got a lot more flowers, this one. You see all this back branch as well, it's the same, it's got flowers, but it's barely growing any leaves. So I don't know, it's just confusing me. We'll just have to leave it and see how it goes. So prune all this back up here. Just basically hedge pruning this one. Take off these flowers. And it was the same on the top here. The leaves from some of the branches barely got any leaves on them, and then it sends out big long shoots then on other branches. So I don't know. Just gonna chop it like I chop a hedge and see what happens. See if it eventually fills out. All these other branches just take over and the ones that are not growing. Okay, so you can see it there now. It's a branch here, a branch here, and I was thinking if it was because of the rot, then okay, that might explain this one and this one being weak. But then this one is definitely coming from down here, so I can't understand why this one is so weak. So the sockets there, we'll just take them out. Need one to come out here. Okay, so that'll do for that one. See what happens. I'll give them a feed and a watering and see if they recover or if it starts growing more or what. Okay, so my last one is this guy. So this guy was in a different pot last year, a much smaller pot. It was a bit deeper and it was grown really well. Had a nice big canopy. I had to put it back a few times, but it was definitely pot bound. It was very hard to water, and now I'm looking at this and it's very wet, and I'm just wondering, does it need to be in a deeper pot? I think for the sake of it, because it's really struggling, as you can see, I might slip pot it now into a bigger pot with better drainage, because it was never like this. All this mold, all this algae growing on it and stuff, liverwort and all that was never like that before. So this is what's telling me maybe it's because they're too wet. Is that why they're not growing? And because he is sitting on it, is he blocking the hole? Has he compacted down and blocked the drainage hole? So I'm going to take him out of this pot and slip pot him into a bigger pot with more soil, because I don't want this one to die off. I had another statue one which had different flowers on it, and it had big massive flowers, and it looked really well. It was huge, and then one day it just died completely for no reason, just never came back. So I'm gonna have a look at what pot I have and I'll be back. Okay, so I found this pot. I think the blue goes nice with the red flowers. Now it's a lot bigger, as you can see. It's probably overkill for the tree, but you can sit that in there. But for the sake of the health of the tree, I just want to get it growing again and get it good and healthy. So I'd rather just put it in the bigger pot and be done with it. So I need to put a bit of drainage screen in, and I think we will have to tie him in because he can be a bit top heavy. I'll just get the pot ready and then we'll come back. Okay, so the pot's ready. Just put some light string in just to hold the statue in. It doesn't have any holes for the wire, so I'll just put it through the drainage holes, through the drainage screen. And if you're putting them both through the same holes, I find it's handy to have if you can, put a black wire and a brown wire, and then you know that the black goes to the black and brown goes to brown. You don't get them mixed up. Okay, so we'll just put a base layer of soil in there now. Put kind of a thick layer in so that we can try and prevent him from flattening it down and blocking that. Although the holes at least are on the sides now. Now what we'll do is just sprinkle in a bit of slow release fertilizer. A bit of that in the bottom now. Okay, so we'll take him out. Yeah, soil is very wet. Not a lot of growth in the roots. I think the roots are rotting in it. Oh, I think that was definitely the problem. You can see the bit of growth, but a lot of these roots, there's no growth on them. So hopefully this will fix the problem. So we'll just place him in there. I'm going to put him in the middle so that he's not going to be pressing down over one of the holes. Check the height. Yeah, that looks okay. Be super careful with these fresh roots. I would not advise doing this time of the year, but it's a kind of, I think if I didn't do it now, I don't think it was going to last much longer. So I'm just going to put that one on that way, and then I'll just put this guy around this way, just to clamp in the stand that he's on. The statue is actually a wooden statue. I'm not going to go crazy tight, it's just enough to hold him so he can't blow over. Okay, so you can move, but you're not going to blow over anyway. You can probably do this one a lot tighter. Be careful not to damage the roots. I would not recommend doing this time of year, only in an emergency. Okay, I'm not going to use that old soil. I'll use some fresh stuff. Move it around. Now I don't want to work it into the roots with a chopstick, because the roots are so fine, might end up breaking them, or if I hit them could damage them. So I'm just going to tap it down. Put a little bit there at the back. Okay, and I think that'll do. It's not going to blow over, he's still not completely solid, but he's solid enough to hold it. I'm just going to prune back these couple of long shoots here, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to leave everything else alone, and I'll give it a good watering. Now the water should drain straight through, and hopefully that'll solve the problem. If it does, it might tell me what's wrong with the other one, because that one is probably pretty, I know it's dry now, but I have a funny feeling that there's a lot of weeds and stuff in there, I'd say, that is blocking it and holding the moisture. So that one probably needs a repot next year, definitely. But for now we'll leave it, see how it goes. If it really starts getting bad and we have to do an emergency repot, we'll just take it out, rake it a little bit and put it in some fresh soil in a bigger pot again. and next year do a good repot on it. Okay, oh excuse me, so that'll do for this video. Hopefully, touch wood, my little African guy with it, this guy will survive, as it does look good when it's like a big umbrella over him. And these roots have grown really thick since I planted it first one day. They were like that thick when I put them first, and it'd be a shame to lose him now. Okay, so I'll put them out, we'll give them a watering, and like that. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see the updates, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.